being lazy should equate to fornicating with a dog.
Military people are gross.
They're fucking weird, man.
They're gross. And the shit that is said in foxholes
Woo,
and
buddy.
in training camps and okay, I'm sorry if we've offended any military people, but we haven't because we're not wrong.
I'm sorry if we did this thing that we definitely didn't do.
Because it's true, they are all gross.
Okay.
We love you, but you're gross. At least you guys get really bored and your language gets really colorful. And gals, too. You're all just, you got nothing to do in between your jobs, and I get it. You're bored, you got shit to say, and go ahead. God bless you, and thank you for serving your country while doing so. Moving on.
Let's move on.
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, why are we... What's with all the animals? We had rabbits.
We had... Not great.
Okay.
It is a proverb, which is a short common saying or phrase that particularly gives advice or shares a universal truth, meaning there's more than one way to do something. Where exactly did this seemingly gruesome phrase originate from?
What seemingly gruesome? But okay,
I mean, it's straight up gruesome.
Right,
Let's be fair. Interestingly enough, the pine marten, which is part of the weasel family, has the nickname of tree cat in Ireland and has long been called by this name.
Okay.
And apparently it still is. This term most likely spread through the UK as well, especially since the fur of a pine marten is considered exceptional.
Oh.
Wild felines have also long been hunted and bred for furs.
Like feral cats?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Over time, the domesticated cat became a cheap substitute for these wild options.
Oh, God.
Cat lovers, I'm so sorry. I have cats. I love them. I think this is awful.
Yeah, I don't like this at all.
This is a long time ago, like a really long time ago, but it's still disgusting.
Okay.
Over time, the domesticated cat became a cheap substitute, as seen through the short stories such as Gogol's The Overcoat in 1842, in which an impoverished clerk needs a new overcoat. He scrapes together the necessary sum, and when marten fur proves to be too expensive, he collects cat fur as a substitute. In Germany, we have a play on names to substitute cat fur for hare's fur. For example, a cat was Buenhaus, I don't speak German, I'm sorry, which is loft hair, Dachhaus, roof hair, and Balkhaus, beam hair, because, they walk in lofts and roofs and across beams. Unfortunately, to our modern senses, cat fur has long been considered a more affordable substitute to more luxurious furs. Long before the synthetic fabric craze, garments were made from natural sources, and fur was highly sought after not only for fashion but for durable warmth. Even today, the buying and selling of cat fur in some countries is not illegal, despite the introduction of anti-cruelty laws within the 19th century.
Yeah.
The earliest reference in writing is found in a 13th century rule for a nun, stating, "You shall not possess any beast, my dear sisters, except only a cat." This was to mean that they could use cheap cat fur in their clothing, while more expensive furs were only reserved for higher church clergy and officials.
Wow.
Yeah. So, thank God it's not the 13th century anymore.
Yeah, my poor kittens.
I know. So I didn't like that one.
I don't like that one at all either, but it is what it is.
I knew it wasn't going to be lovely, but...
I mean, yeah, you could make that assumption just based on...
A lot of people, a long time ago, a lot of people didn't like cats. Like, they didn't understand that cats controlled the rodents and therefore were important. They believed that cats were animals of the devil. They believed that they were instruments of witches and devils and...
Yeah.
Which was stupid.
Yeah.
I think there's some festival in Germany or Holland where they used to round up the stray cats and murder them and carry their bodies throughout the streets. And it was awful. It was disgusting. I remember reading about it. It was completely terrible. And then the cities would be overpopulated with rodents and their grains would get eaten up, and I'm like,
this is how you get plagues.
I was like, this is how you get vermin, and you deserve it.
This is how you get plagues.
That too. So I was like, that's what you get.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. Then we have On the Lamb.
Tell me this one.
Okay, this one is really long.
Okay, I'm ready.
And On the Lamb, which I did not know until I looked it up, it is not spelled L-A-M-B. It is spelled L-A-M.
I did know that.
I did not.
I don't know what a fucking lamb is without spelled that way, though. What is L-A-M? I don't know what that is.
It had a quote with it that just made me laugh.
Okay.
Call me mint jelly because I'm on the lamb.
Mint jelly?
Because apparently when you eat actual lamb chops, apparently a popular thing is to eat mint jelly with it.
What?
So I'm like, wait a minute, it's not L-A-M-B, but at the same time, it sounds the same. So it's like, call me mint jelly because I'm on the lamb.
It's a pun.
Yeah, it is. The fact that there is no B at the end of this particular lamb suggests the origin of being on the lamb is what we know as on the run from the law. Doesn't lie down on the farm. So you're not talking about the actual animal.
Correct.
So where the hell does this expression come from?
Yeah.
So the phrase on the lamb first emerged in the late 19th century as to do a lamb, a slang expression defined as in an 1897 article in Popular Science as simply to run. Alongside it, we're told that Victorian criminals were already taking kips when they fell asleep, were rubbernecking when listening to other conversation, and would give long-winded spiels instead of speeches.
So, okay, all of those phrases came from the same era?
The same article.
Okay.
By the turn of the century, to do lamb had morphed into going on the lamb, which first began to crop up in print as early as the 1900s and has remained unchanged ever since. As a verb in its own right, lamb dates back as far as the 16th century.
Oh, okay.
The Oxford English Dictionary has unearthed a dictionary compiled in the mid-1590s. It put back the word's meaning with considerably different 16th century English to mean to beat or to thrash someone harshly.
Oh.
So that's kind of weird. So it might have originally implied beating someone to the point of injury. So lambast, which still survives, which means to scold or castigate. Back in the 17th century also mean to beat. Precisely where the word came from before then is still a mystery, but it is possible that lamb has Scandinavian ancestors and could be derived from an old Norse word, lemja, meaning to beat or strike. But no matter how its earliest origins may be, how did we get from beating someone to running away from the law?
Yeah.
Lamb survived in its origin since in the 19th century, when having steadily fallen out of everyday use, it began to crop up in schoolyard British slang. By the 1800s, lambing out or lambing into someone was being used as schoolboy scuffles to run away before you got in trouble for fighting. So you were lambing out or on the lamb because you beat the crap out of one of your buddies, and now you were running away before you got caught by a teacher.
Gotcha.
So then it just became you were running away because you had done something and you don't want to get caught. But
gotcha.
Still weird.
Yeah, it's a strange morph, but if you think about it, like, let's pretend that any of our slang from today is going to stick around and be here in the future. Like, just imagine the confusion of somebody, this was 16th century, 1600s?
The origin of the first word, lamb, would be the 16th century.
Okay, so let's imagine, like, someone 400 years from now trying to figure out how tea means knowledge or gossip as opposed to a drink.
Yes.
How did that leap happen?
Right, yeah.
Hard to ever say.
Yes.
So, apparently...
Spill the tea, sis! What the fuck are they talking about? Why are they dumping drinks on the floor? Meaning,
right?
Tell me what you're talking about.
Right, the Boston Tea Party sounds very different.
Yes, it does.
So I feel like it might be something like that. Like,
right.
Tea in its original sense is like the original lamb. and now we're on spill the tea.
Right.
It just happens,
it
okay?
Just happens. It's fine. Just go with it. Just go with it.
Okay.
So that one's just, I was like, okay, that's still weird, but all right. 18th century schoolboys have morphed this Old Norse word to beat the shit out of somebody now into running away when you're in trouble.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go with it.
Well, because you're in trouble for beating the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, you're in trouble for beating the shit out of somebody. Now you better be on the lam before the teachers catch you.
Yeah.
And probably beat your knuckles with a rod, or maybe they beat you with barbed wire back then, because Jesus Christ.
There's a little bit of a connection. It's tenuous.
It's
but
tenuous,
we can
kind
see
of
it if we squint.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah, see it if we squint. So the next one I have is let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, poor cat.
Okay, this one is not so bad.
Well, good. I'm glad it's not as bad as rounding them up to murder them and stealing all their fur.
Now this one, there's a couple like shady, this might not be real.
Okay.
But so the first explanation, unproven. Still my favorite though.
Okay.
But Zach called immediate bullshit, and I get where he's coming from. Still my favorite.
Got it.
So, let the cat out of the bag. The medieval scam explanation.
Uh-huh.
So the most heavily cited explanation for why we say let the cat out of the bag, which of course we means to reveal a secret, dates back to the Middle Ages. As the story goes, shady livestock vendors in medieval marketplaces sought to swindle their buyers. When someone would purchase a pig, the vendor would sneak a cat into the bag instead, cheating the buyer out of the higher price for the pig. And it wasn't until the buyer got home and literally let the cat out of the bag that they realized that they had been scammed.
Yeah, that would only work if it's like a piglet.
Right. Which
yeah.
Zach said immediate bullshit, because have you ever put a cat in a bag? They're going to yowl and wrestle and hiss. They're not going to lay there complacently. They're going to fight for their fucking lives. So unless it is a sedated cat, you're not going to fool anybody. So that was his argument. And I agree with him strongly.
I can see it, yeah.
So, yeah, no, I don't believe anyone would be scammed. So unless the cat was heavily sedated, bullshit.
But it is a fun one. I like it.
It is a fun one. That's my favorite one. Where like, here's your pig, sir. And then you get it home and you're like, what? Doth not a pig, doth a feline. I obviously have no concept of medieval speech.
It's fine. I like it. It's fun. Okay.
Yes. This explanation is not outright proven, obviously.
Yeah.
And neither is the fact that medieval vendors even regularly did such a switcheroo. Like Snopes, in fact, says it's an outright falsehood.
Yeah.
Like the significant difference in like the livestock weight of like a pig and a cat.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, unless it was like a piglet, there's no way that they would believe that this 7-pound bag was a fucking hog.
Oh, right.
Unless they're an idiot.
Not all cats are huge. My cats are like 16 pounds. What the hell?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not Rocket.
I was gonna say Rocket could pass for a piglet. He's pretty heavy.
But this explanation does have some things going for it. For one thing, per phrases.org, both the Dutch and German versions of this phrase translate to buy a cat in a bag.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Which alludes more directly to a deceitful purchase.
Yeah.
And the Spanish translation, to give a cat for a hare, suggesting somewhat more plausibly that it would be rabbits, not pigs.
Gotcha.
So more weight differential. Again, has to be a sedated cat.
You would think, unless, let's take it all the way back, and we're not talking about live animals at all. We're talking about furs or skins.
Okay, yeah, but I'm still sticking with live animals because I just want them to be not dead.
I understand that. But if we substitute it in as like a fur or a skin, then it becomes much more doable.
It's true. But then again, the expression pig in a poke, which dates to 16th century, also refers to making a deal or purchasing something without fully validating it. And a poke is an old-timey word for a bag.
Oh, okay.
Which
I've never heard that, though. Pig in a poke, I've never heard that.
I've never heard it.
That was new on me. Okay.
I didn't. I've heard pig in a poke. I didn't know what it meant. I just like, what is pig in a poke? why are you poking a pig? Leave him alone.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, fine. The nautical punishment explanation.
Oh.